you know what? A lot of fans, when you're looking at the scoreline and didn't watch the game, you would say, yeah, Spurs were very lucky last night. 2 last-minute goals. Well, the latest Premier League comeback of all time, literally. 94 minutes and, what was it, 30 seconds or something, we were losing 2-1.
52 seconds.
52 seconds.
Technically, we had 8 seconds to score 2 goals.
And we ended up winning the game 3-2. What an astonishing comeback it was last night. But on the balance of play, I mean, we thoroughly deserved the win last night. I think it was the 6th highest away XG in the Premier League ever. And I think it was the second or the highest XG of any team in the Premier League season this year.
This season.
So that shows you alone that we completely deserved the win last night. Players were performing at a very high level. One of the players I want to talk about in Harry Kane, I thought he was unbelievable last night. He really was unbelievable. Hit the bar and the post, goal line, clearance off the goal line. Yeah, he probably should have gotten more goals than he did, but the way you could just see from minute 1 last night, he just wanted it. He wanted it so bad. He was getting the ball. He was breezing past players. He was spraying it left, spraying it right, passing ability on show. I mean, this guy performed at an extremely high level last night, didn't he?
I thought he was head and shoulders above everyone on the pitch yesterday, Harry Kane. Every time he got the ball, he was looking to make things happen. He was looking up, looking for support. And when he didn't have the support, he would dribble past the player and take a shot from 30 yards. He wouldn't mind doing that yesterday. I actually thought yesterday Harry Kane was a lot of the time was doing stuff all by himself. I thought so often he had he would pick the ball up in the middle of the park and he would have Lucas Moura as his only support, and then he would have the wing backs who weren't having in the final third anyway the best of games, and he would opt to dribble past the player, hold the ball up, wait for more support. And I thought he was doing it exceptionally. Leicester could not live with him. Yeah. He was probably, in terms of quality, the massive difference yesterday between the two sides. He loves
playing at that stadium, doesn't he?
I thought he was unbelievable. I thought he was absolutely
playing
unbelievable.
At that stadium, and I completely agree, man. I thought he was sensational. I thought, as much as everyone wanted to say Steven Bergwijn was the man of the match because he came on and won the game, I think Kane was our best player.
Start to finish.
Yeah, start to
Passing as well was just exceptional as it always is. He was a threat in behind. He was which he got the goal with. He was a threat if he came short. If we went long to him, he was making it stick. He was holding it up. He was bullying the centre backs. Yeah. He was Vestergaard and Sionchu will not have a tougher game this season. They did yesterday against Harry Kane, and as well. Just quickly, Lucas Moura, I thought, had a pretty poor game yesterday, actually. And so when you're playing with the two up front and one of the strike partners having a poor game, that leaves even more pressure on the other strike partner. And I thought he grabbed that with both hands, Harry Kane. And he was like, look, and you could tell he wanted it so much yesterday, so much. And when it was 2-1, I was saying to Brian next to me, I was like, this is literally the reason why this guy wanted to leave in the summer, because he was literally the best player on the park by far. Yeah. He had an unbelievable game, yet we're 2-1 down because of, not necessarily because we were bad, but because of failings of other players. And that's why we're losing, not because of anything he did. And yet he kept fighting, he kept believing, and the celebration you saw with him at the end, I think a lot of it was relief. And a lot of it was like he deserved that for himself, because I thought it was one of the best performances of any player this season, let alone just him.
Yeah, he completely bullied Sionchu last night. And in his post-match interview last night, I don't remember seeing him smile like that before. I mean, for a while, for a long time, I haven't seen him smile like that. So hopefully that's a bit of a sign we are on the right track now. I think that, as I was saying before, I kind of get a feeling that could be a bit of a sliding doors moment, and that could be the game to instill the belief into this team, into the team with Conte. And I think that we can really kick on from here. I really believe that. And I think this could be the confidence boost that we needed to spur us on. And not just the team, but Steven Bergwijn in particular as well, because he needed a game like this.
Definitely.
He needed a game like this. I mean, he's been low on confidence for a long time now. He started the season last year quite well without getting too many goals. Then that Liverpool game goes and he misses those 2 chances. He gets dogs abuse from the fans on social media and stuff like that. His confidence completely went. And that game, I think, could be to propel him to the next level.
I think this is probably the first time in a while he's really feeling the love, Steven Bergwijn, from the fan base and from everyone and from his teammates, because he really did save our bacon yesterday. In terms of what I thought, when he came on, even without the goals, obviously the goals are massive. I actually thought he made a really big impact even without the goals yesterday. He was doing these little one-touch passes. He was using his strength. He was backing into defenders, making a nuisance of himself. It was interesting when, Bergwijn came on for Reggie. You're thinking, okay, Bergwijn's going to go on the left and he's going to be a winger. But he didn't. He put Lucas on the left. He put Bergwijn and Kane up top. And he said, no, you're going to be a striker. And it worked an absolute treat. I thought he linked up with Kane really, really well. He gave us another option. And I thought both goals he took really well. Especially the second one, to have that composure to do that, and when this big chance, this last chance of the game, it's do or die in this moment, and to round the keeper and put it in off the post like he did, I thought was exceptional. And clearly, I think that's probably going to change things in terms of transfers this window. It's weird how one thing can change your trajectory, but it can. We saw it even with the summer. It was Tanganga. He was set to go on loan, and then one big performance against City, and Parati's like, okay, we're going to keep him around. And it's not. And Conte has been consistent in what he said about Bergwijn. He's a player who he wants to rely on. He's a player who he sees as right now as the best alternative to Harry Kane. And he's a player who believes he's getting used to his methods. And yesterday was a huge, huge step in the right direction. Let's not get it twisted as well. Bergwijn's been in pretty good form of late. When was his last game? Because he's been injured.
The West Ham game.
West Ham, he was brilliant. He got a goal and assist, and he was man of the match in that game. I remember he came on against Palace. He had a really good impact as well. So, and then he got injured, and I think, was this his first game since injury, isn't it?
Yeah, it is,
because he was set to be on the bench against North London Derby, and he wasn't because he got called off.
So it's his first game back.
First game since injury, and what an impact he made. I'm so happy for him, and I hope he does stick around. And to be honest, I don't think we actively want to sell him because we don't think he's good. I think the only reason we want to sell him is because he's the only player who someone's coming in for. Literally, that's what I think. Like, I think if we had people lining up for Dele and Ndombele, then they would be out the door a lot quicker than Bergwijn. I think the situation, as I see it, is Levy wants to raise funds before he signs anyone, and as he always does. And unfortunately, we're not getting the funds that we want for Ndombele or Dele. So we need to get funds from somewhere. So we're thinking, okay, if Bergwijn, we're not so sure on him, we don't want to sell him, but if we're getting money for him, then we can sign other players, so we'll go for it. But in my opinion, that's not the right approach.
I think that on this channel, me and you have been quite consistent in what we've been saying about Bergwijn. We've always said there's a player in there. We've always seen the talent. It just hasn't happened for him for one reason or another. And I think that hopefully, the fan base can get behind him now, because there's been a lot of question marks over Steven Bergwijn in terms of the fan base. A lot of fans not thinking he's good enough or what have you. So I think that now after that, people can really get behind him, and hopefully he can kick on now. Another player who I want to talk about last night, and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, proper Viking performance last night. I thought he was everywhere in the midfield, and that comeback doesn't happen without him. That comeback does not happen without him. He's the one that plays that ball into Matt Doherty. And not only that, he's the guy that wins the ball in the middle of the park and produces it to Harry Kane, who plays that ball into Steven Bergwijn. So that comeback does not happen without Pierre-Emile Højbjerg last night. And
I thought he had a great game overall. I was very surprised by how effective the three centre mids were during the game, actually, because you look at that midfield three and you're thinking, are we going to create? Is it going to be another one of those games where lots of passes but no killer instinct and no penetration? But no, actually, they really turned up yesterday, and I thought they were causing Leicester all sorts of trouble throughout the game. They took it in turns to kind of go in the final third, and it was either Winks protecting, or Skip protecting, or was Højbjerg protecting, and Skip had turns in the final third, and Højbjerg had turns in the final third, and it was actually pretty effective. I was actually really impressed with what I was seeing.
Skip was making a lot of forward runs last night. It was great to see. It really was. He was always an option there on that right-hand side. Always.
Yes. And I thought it was a great tactical setup from Conte. I thought Leicester really struggled throughout the whole 90 minutes to deal with us. I think there was maybe a period in the second half where they got a bit of control in the game, but once Conte made some subs, we took it back. I thought they were industrious. I thought Tielemans, I've never seen him look so quiet during the game. Maddison, I know, got a goal, but by and large, throughout most of the game, he didn't get much joy. I know he had a shot in the first half as well, which Lloris had to save, but I thought they were creative. I've never seen us create so many chances in a game for a long, long time. And when you look at the team, you wouldn't have thought we would have created so many chances to score.
You got to give credit to Conte and the way he set up the team yesterday. I mean, we've played 3-5-2 before, right, this season, but I felt that Conte made a few tweaks to it last night. Did you notice anything?
I didn't notice specifically in terms of the setup. I thought the fullbacks were really high. I thought that's what he wanted. I didn't see any changes to how we usually set up in the 3-5-2. I just think they were doing it more to how he wants.
Yeah, maybe that was it, because I felt like the midfield three played so different to how we have been playing in a 3-5-2 before. Maybe not the Liverpool game, but every other game we've been a bit, not great in the 3-5-2 system, apart from that Liverpool game and obviously last night. And I thought the midfielders, Skip and Højbjerg, the way they were in pretty much box-to-box roles, both of them, and then Winks was kind of like that quarterback, spraying the ball forward. I thought they just worked so well together, all three of them.
They did, and I was really impressed. And as well, Leicester, yes, they were depleted, but
still had a good side out.
First of all, they had a pretty strong side out. Yeah, the fullbacks were probably their weak point with Albrighton, but Luke Thomas isn't bad.
And then those two are the guys that saved it off the line for them.
Yeah. I thought they had a pretty strong team. I know Vardy, but Daka was there. And who came off the bench? Harvey Barnes came off the bench. Yeah. Samare came off the bench. Yeah. So these are good players who came off the bench, who Barnes could easily get into our squad. And Samare, people are upset we didn't sign him in the summer. So, I think they had more than enough to get a result yesterday. I don't think they can blame injuries in terms of why they were just beaten by the better side yesterday.
They were.
That's the case. And I actually think as well, that's why it felt so good to win the game. Not only because it didn't feel like, it wasn't just a smash and grab. We fully deserved the win yesterday, and it felt like justice that we got those 3 points. I think even a draw would have been injustice.
I would have been so angry with the draw last night. I would have been so angry with the loss, obviously, if I was angry with the draw. But, when Leicester scored the first goal, opening goal of the game, completely against the run of play. But when they scored their second goal to go 2-1 up, you could see it coming. And I was thinking at that point, maybe in the few minutes in the lead up to that goal, I was like, oh God, is it going to be another one of those days? We haven't put away our chances. Leicester can easily score. Leicester can easily score, and we look vulnerable. We look vulnerable at the back, and we did look vulnerable at the back last night. Mm-hmm. We really did.
We did at times, but luckily for us, we were the ones who had most of the chances, weren't we?
But every time Leicester went forward last night, I had that anxiety that they could score. They looked dangerous when they went forward.
Yeah, they did. Look, and they had Maddison out, in the team. They had some dangerous players, so we had to be careful of them. But we dominated. Luckily, we were the ones who were having most of the play, and so that's why we need reinforcements. So when the few times we are caught out, like we were yesterday, we're not as vulnerable as we're not so vulnerable. But unfortunately, I know I'm not saying Tanganga, Sanchez and Davis were awful, because I don't think they were, but they're not at the level that we need if we're going to be serious about moving forward with Conte. I think yesterday was case in point of why we are so desperate for reinforcements, because the structure is there. The will of the squad is there in terms of them being behind Conte, but we need better quality. We need to come in. And yesterday was case in point. We nearly lost that game yesterday, not because of a manager, not because of how much the players wanted it, but because of just what was available and what we had in the squad. That's why we nearly lost. And so that's why everyone was desperate to back Conte. And that goes on to, there was a few Levy out chants yesterday, which was quite interesting. I didn't expect it when I went to the game. At 1-0 down and at 2-1 down, they were quite vocal, a lot of the fans yesterday, about we want Levy out, which was I found surprising. But ultimately, when you think about it, why we were, everyone could see the reason why we're losing was, you could say, Levy didn't make Højbjerg miss that shot and all these kind of things. But the reason why we're losing is nothing to do with the manager, and it's all to do with how the squad's been managed. And that was clear.
Yeah, you got to say that yesterday was a clear case of us not taking our chances. I mean, we had the chances. We had so many chances, and the XG proves that. The XG, biggest XG of a side this season. Like I said, sixth best XG of an away side in the Premier League. So it's clear to me that it's because we didn't take our chances yesterday. Harry Kane had a hatful of chances who could have scored a lot more than he did. Højbjerg, I can't remember who else. I mean, Skip had one at one stage.
I thought Doherty and Davis, Davis as well, both had, the fullbacks had loads of chances to really score. I thought we had endless amount of chances, to be honest, and Leicester was so lucky that they were in the lead and nearly they were lucky to be in the lead to go into the 90th minute. Very, very lucky. And I thought we were so creative. We used the fullbacks really, really well throughout the game. And I was really happy with the performance, and it was just that's why I was so frustrated at the end when it looked like we were going to lose, because we just did not deserve anything but 3 points. And let's touch on actually one player who gets a lot of criticism in Matt Doherty, because I thought he came on yesterday. This was the
5 chances created or something from him last night.
This was the first time since he's joined Tottenham I saw the Matt Doherty from Wolves. The very first time.
I think the second time. I think the second time. And the first time was last season against Leicester away.
He was pretty good. Yeah, he was pretty good that game as well.
And I think this game was the second, both against Leicester at the King Power.
But this was the first time I can remember. Okay, maybe against Leicester last year, but this is the first time in a while. What I've banged on about with Doherty, what he's good at, and what he was good at Wolves. Right? What have I kept saying? What he's good at Wolves? Getting in the box. Getting in the box. That was his biggest asset at Wolves. That was his number one thing that he was good at Wolves. And that was what he was doing yesterday. He was causing havoc in the box. He was being an option. He was being an option at the far post. That's exactly how we got the second goal. He was, again, getting into the box and being a nuisance. He was winning headers. He was getting into dangerous areas. And he was something to think about when you're in the box. If you're outside the box, if you're wide right, we know Doherty, first of all, he did actually whip in one really great ball to Reggie, which Reggie could have done better with right at the beginning of the second half. We know he's not like the most technically gifted player. He's not the most physically gifted player. But what he was very good at Wolves is having a knack of being at the right place at the right time, knowing positionally where to be, and just being an option. And that's exactly what he was yesterday. And I'm not saying this completely changes my opinion on Doherty or anything like that, or now he should say, because I still believe he's not the required quality. But at least yesterday he showed what he can offer, and I think he did a really good job. I'm not saying he was brilliant. I don't think he was brilliant, but he was exactly what I expected when he came from Wolves, and that was to be someone who wasn't a liability, a dependable right back, and when we're going forward, be a nuisance, be an option, and if something comes your way, maybe you can get on the end of something.
Yeah, and he completely outshone Emerson. Emerson was, did he even have a touch in that first half, Emerson? I don't remember him doing anything of note yesterday, Emerson Royale. Reguilon on the other side was getting in and amongst it, some really nice link-up play with Kane and Moura going forward. But I felt he was always found wanting in his final ball and his final efforts yesterday, Reguilon. Yeah,
Reggie, I thought he was a lot sharper than we've seen him of late. Obviously, he's been injured or whatnot. So that's that. But he did, especially in the first half, I thought he was really sharp. But he didn't quite, in the final third, make the impact we'd want. He got in behind a few times, but...
He's so rash in the final third, doesn't he?
Yeah, a few times he could have done a lot better. But maybe, it's his first game. I don't know. I wouldn't use that excuse as his first game back. But I think in general it was actually all right from Reggie. I didn't have too many complaints with his performance yesterday. I thought Davis and Tanganga, from an offensive point of view, were really good. I thought Tanganga was much better.
Driving through the midfield at points yesterday.
Much better from Tanganga in that point, because I think against Chelsea and the other teams we've played, Morecambe, he's been bad defensively, but also in that third centre-back role, which Conte, is very important in that Conte system. He hasn't been being that option and doing confident runs forward, which we've seen from like Romero and Davis. But yesterday he was doing that really, really effectively, and a few times he was supporting the attack and he was helping sustain attacks, and that's why we were so capable of penning Leicester in and creating opportunities. And I thought he did pretty well. I thought for the goals, could argue he could have done better, but And so, which shows, he's still got a lot of inexperience. But I thought, confidence-wise, you can see it was a lot better from Tanganga, I thought.
Yeah, and you could see once Romero and Dyer come back into this side, we're going to be a completely different side. We're going to be so solid at the back. And if we can keep that kind of chance creation machine like we were yesterday, we could have a really strong second half of the season.
If we get, that's the thing. I think right now, Conte is literally stretched to the bone in terms of what he can get out of this squad. He is literally, he's like squeezing a towel. He's literally wringing every last drop of talent he can out of this squad right now. And we're and obviously we're doing quite well in the league. Like we're in a good position, but I think again we're only 2 or 3 injuries from being in real trouble. That's why. We know that if we just need some reinforcements this January, just to consolidate our strong position, and if we don't get that, then we're taking a big risk in the second half of the season of it all going wrong.
Massive risk, yeah.
But this is also why I've kept saying, if we do get lucky and stay injury-free second half of the season, there is a chance of top 4, even without signings. And I think Conte has shown that since he's come in, that he can get this team playing how he wants, maybe not completely how he wants, but to a semblance of how he wants. And that could be enough for top 4 if we stay injury free. But you can't rely on that, and we need to make sure that we have contingency plans. And right now, day 20 still doesn't look close to signing anyone, and that's a very, very frustrating. And that's probably why you heard those Levy out chants yesterday, because we still haven't signed it. Because I think the fans can see
10 days to go.
The fans can see that Conte's doing an amazing job, and we're so desperate for him to do well. We're so desperate to give him the tools to succeed. And right now, the only thing holding us back is the board in the club. That's the only thing holding us back. It's not Conte or anything like that.
The only thing that's ever been holding us back in the last, since Poch, pretty much. Since
the structure's there for us.
It's been the same story. We need to back this manager. There's 10 days left of the window now. Yes, I know after 7 days I called for calm, but we need signings now. It's getting a bit desperate. And Stel and Sai were asking me on a fan show last night, do I think that we can get top 4? Do I think we will get top 4 with no signings? And I said to them last night, look, can we get top 4s with no signings? Yeah, we're damn right we can. But will we get top 4 with no signings? I'm not too sure, because we need a lot of luck to go our way in terms of injuries and stuff like that. So it's playing a very risky game. If we bring in 1 or 2 players, 3 players to this squad from now until the end of January, I make us favourites.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think everyone was so down in the dumps after the Carabao Cup semi-finals, but everyone forgets, as I was saying in the pre-match, we're still unbeaten under Conte. It's now 9 unbeaten, and it's not just 9 unbeaten like loads of draws, like 6 wins and 3 draws. So we're winning most of those games as well. We're scoring most games. I think every game, I can't think of a game where we haven't out XG'd the opposition. We're carrying a lot more threat than the opposition pretty much in every game we've played in the Premier League. So people can say, you only played this and that. Like, that's 9 games. That's half the Premier League. That's half the table. So you can't say that. Like, you can't just write off half the table and say, well, you should be able to beat half the table. It's like, well, we're unbeaten in 9 games. Why isn't everyone unbeaten in 9 games? It's not that simple. So I think, obviously, he's going to have harder tests, but he's doing so well, Conte, with since he's come in. And we're in a great position, and we just need those consolidatory signings to make sure that we get over the line, because we've put ourselves in a magnificent position in the table in terms of games played, points got. It's a great position to be in.
It's mad to think about it, how everyone's been shitting on Spurs all season, right? How bad we've been under Nuno, under Conte, still not playing that well. People are saying, for the position we are in the league, everyone's been banging on about how good West Ham have been, how good Arsenal have been, and what have you. We're in a much better position. Well, not much better. We're in a better position than them. So I don't understand the narrative that's going on right now.
Much better in the league. We're in a much better position than them. I agree with games in hand. 1 point behind West Ham and 3 games in hand. We could lose one of those games in hand and still go above Chelsea.
Yeah.
With if we win another 3,
we can lose to Chelsea and still go above them.
Yeah, that's an incredible position that I didn't think we could be in a few weeks ago, before when Conte was just coming in. So,
and another really good thing about the win last night, it's an away performance. It's a performance not just a win away from home, but performance away from home. I think we haven't had one of those for a long time. And that's the last time we performed like that away from home.
And actually, what really showed the difference since Conte's come in is not difference in Conte, but the difference in mentality in this squad, maybe compared to others. Let's cast your mind back to October when Arsenal were playing Crystal Palace. They, in the last minute of the game, 94th minute of stoppage time, they get a equaliser at home to Crystal Palace, make it 2-2. Yeah. What happens? They all rush to the corner flag. They're celebrating. They're going wild. Oh, we just got a draw against Palace. Great goal.
Backflips and all that.
Yeah, but Lacazette is punching the corner flag. They're jumping into the crowd and getting a draw. We scored with virtually the last kick of the game to make it 2-2. Actually, there's 10 seconds left, so that could have been the last kick of the game. There wasn't one celebration in the team. Not one celebration. Not one of those players even pretty much acknowledged we'd scored pretty much. Everyone went to the ball, grabbed the ball back in the centre.
The mentality we need.
They believed we were going to score again. They were confident that the game, because they'd seen how we'd been playing throughout that game. They knew that we had Leicester in the palm of our hands if we wanted it. And we just had to take it. And they believed that we didn't deserve a draw in this game. We deserved 3 points, and that was so refreshing and amazing to see. That because 2-2 yesterday away at Leicester, that's not the worst result in the world. You probably take that. Before the game, I wouldn't have taken a draw, but you're thinking 2-2. We've got games in hand. It's a waypoint, tough ground.
A point away from home, and you move.
It's not a disaster, is it? 2-2. Yeah. But they didn't think like that. They said no. We've been the better team today. We deserve to get 3 points today. We believe we're better than this opposition. And despite there's 10 seconds left, we're going to grab the ball and put it in the centre spot. We're not even going to celebrate that we've grabbed a point in the last minute. That's not how we do things. And yeah, that was such a stark difference to what you saw from Arsenal against Palace, where they were celebrating like they won the league.
And I think we've seen many cases of that, Arsenal. Many cases where they score a last-minute equaliser, or Aubameyang goes into the corner flag and does his backflips and all that. You're right. It's so refreshing to see, and this is the mentality. This is the mentality that we need to keep with us now and move forward, and we can have a really strong second half of the season. I really believe that. The last thing I want to mention is the fans last night. They were the real man in the matches for me. I mean, I was watching it on TV, obviously, and didn't hear a Leicester song pretty much the whole game. The fans were in full voice, not only when we were winning, but when we were losing. Didn't stop singing the whole game. The celebrations were literally to die for. I was so jealous watching all the celebrations. I had a massive case of FOMO last night. But from being there last night, what was it like firsthand?
It was one of the best away atmospheres I've seen in a very, very long time. I can't remember the last time I went to a game where the atmosphere was, even before the goals, I would have said the atmosphere was brilliant. It was really there was really good banter between the Leicester fans and the Tottenham fans. There was constant singing throughout the game. Obviously, how the game went, we were playing really well. The fans were in full voice, and then once we got I think everyone knew, everyone could see it, like. Tottenham of late, right? When you're losing games like that, away at Leicester, it would have been very easy for it to turn toxic and start booing when we concede a second goal. But I think the fans acknowledged yesterday how well we were playing and that we actually deserved to be in the lead, and we were really unlucky to be losing. And so even though we conceded that second goal, there was still that sense of belief, like even though there was like, okay, well, here we go again, there was always also that feeling, but.
And that's the belief we had at Poch. Every single game, even if we were losing going into the last 5 minutes, we thought we could win that.
Yeah,
game.
there was still a feeling like we can score here. We can get back into this. We were like, we're playing well. We don't deserve to be losing. So it wasn't a case of fans turning on the players and getting on their back. It was actually more of a case of just keep going, keep doing what you're doing, because I know we're 2-1 down, but we can get something here. And when we and those last 2 minutes, I've never seen anything like it. The fans streaming onto the pitch in the front row. Harry Kane having to get torn away from the fans. It was absolute, it was absolute bedroom. I picked up a set of car keys in like that. They dropped. I got myself a new car, so that's all good.
Why didn't the stewards let the players come and celebrate with the fans after the game?
After the game.
Yeah.
I think it's just a security thing, maybe a COVID thing.
Like Sanchez came running over to the fans, and the steward grabs him. And
maybe it's a COVID thing. I don't know. It's very strange. Maybe they don't want, maybe because they were got too close before, they were like, look, just keep your distance kind of thing. But it was, the way the players came over.
That fan's hat as well. And
Yeah, it was absolutely, it was absolute scenes yesterday, and you're not going to see a celebration. That was I've not seen a celebration like that probably since Ajax. But even then, it's different because we were right up in there was no lower, was there? No. There was all Ajax. So to have that right in row one, maybe since Man City away in the quarterfinal, maybe the last time we've really had an away game like that. That was something special. That was something really special. And Grandpa was loving it. Brian was loving it. It was incredible, and the fans I thought were top notch all night, and I think they got their reward for what they did for most of the game. I think for me,
absolutely spot on. So that is our match review.